How do you do, fellow gamers? The Ramblin' Manager bringing you another track tonight, and I love how whenever I'm having like a deep conversation with myself about various games, it's like towards the very end of it, I'm just like, let me see if I can't like retell everything that I just said to myself into like a small ramble that turns like a 15, 16 minute goddamn TED talk. But I was recently going over about, why there's like some form of justification about like being able to circumvent certain in-game activities with money. And when I'm talking about money, I'm not talking about microtransactions and like, put in $1, you can get yourself a Praxis kit in Deus Ex Mankind Divided. A one-time use item where if you delete your fucking save file, you don't even get to fucking keep it. It almost makes the microtransactions for Dead Space 3 when EA pushed them in look like a modern art masterpiece or like the smartest decision in microtransaction history because you could buy hundreds of thousands of those, but at least that shit gets permanently tied to your account, and no matter what the fuck happens, even if you start like a fresh new game, you will always have those like components and shit. And it kind of makes me want to go back to Dead Space 3 now because I remember doing that shit a fuck ton on like the PS3 version to the point where I could just have like all my shit maxed out on a clean save. It was kind of fucking funny. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about certain games that let you use in-game currency to buy certain perks or skill points to help you expedite the whole process instead of utilizing normal leveling. And it's all about the choice to gamers, the fucking choice. Some people could say that could be very fucking busted, but when you have a choice, it kind of invalidates whatever like negative repercussions there could be to like having that cheap way of leveling yourself up. Going back to like the earliest idea about where I've seen something like that, Deus Ex Human Revolution. I remember before New Game Plus was added into the director's cut, you could not get all of your augmentations fully leveled up. It's like traditional RPG bullshit where you can't truly get everything, so you have to settle on, you know, just having fucking nothing. And I honestly respect that, but I mean, I think ever since I played Fallout 3, in regards like using a couple of exploits in a manner of speaking to get all my skills maxed out with like careful investment. Not speaking of perks, sadly, you can only get a limited amount of perks, but there was like definitely like a top 20 or 30 you can go for. Without a shadow of a doubt, you can use for at least more than 50 to 75% of the game, so it got its value out of it. Obviously nothing like 10% more XP or more skill points, but something like more damage against ants or robots, more effective stems and all that shit. That stuff could see you a lot of like help and aid throughout the whole game. But ever since that and something like Prey 2017, I've always had this like need to find a way to break the fucking game and just truly have fun with it. Like if it were up to me and I felt truly unsympathetic towards like the grind and the process, the progress, for something like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I would have just kept using that save where I had all the fucking skills unlocked by doing the teabag glitch before it got patched out. Those that played a little bit of Odyssey whenever that shit came out, you know what I'm talking about. Or even something like Starfield. If it were up to me, I would have spent like 3 hours straight doing nothing but trying to max out my character to like level 250 just so I could have gotten every single skill point needed to get all the fucking skill trees maxed out. But in those games, I want to like play it semi fairly. But then, those games don't give you like any other way to like truly get skill points besides like some very slow or mediocre leveling. We all know if like Odyssey at least, Ubisoft was kind of pushing you towards trying to get those booster packs for like $10 get like 50% more XP and money. You don't really need it, and I wish I would like taken advantage of those like user generated side quests in the past to like do that shit over and over again because that was something that was legit in there before Ubisoft nerfed it, and I probably would have felt a hell of a lot more happy doing that than fucking doing the teabag glitch. But you miss out on some things. You just gotta live with it. But yeah, those games in particular can be rather slow, and it makes you wish there was something like Deus Ex Human Revolution, where, again, before there was New Game Plus, they gave you varying options to get praxis kits to level yourself up. You could do the traditional method of just trying to get 1,000 XP points to get a praxis kit, or you can explore the map, like use a cheat sheet, like all of us have done, to find where all these praxis kits are, or they do give you the option where every time you hop down into a city, you can spend 5,000 credits. Wait, was it 5,000 XP or 1,000 XP? It's been so long since I played Human Revolution. We'll just say it's 5,000. I think it was 5,000. 5,000 XP to level it up, or 5,000 credits to buy a Praxis kit. Now, of course, they had to make it a little bit, balanced in the sense that, you can only get 2 per city. So you land Detroit first, that's 2. You go to Hongshai, that's another 2. You go back to Detroit, that's another 2. You go back again to Hongshai, that's another 2. And what some people don't realize, if I'm right, there was an extra shop with the Missing Link DLC. You can get an additional 2. So you can get like between 10 to 12 Praxis kits in totals by going to like different hubs during the course of the story. And like 10 to 12 level ups is pretty fucking massive. And it's not that hard to get credits, but ever since the whole New Game Plus thing, it basically becomes fucking pointless. Like, you could still spend the money on it because at the end of the day, when you do New Game Plus, the only thing that carries over are your skills, not your money. So if you wanted to, you should spend that money on the Praxis kits because it allows you to get more skills. And unlike Mankind Divide, where it seems that New Game Plus only applies to that save. You try to do another New Game Plus, it would just use that previous first save that you had. But with Human Revolution, you can just do as many New Game Plus as you want with all of your shit carried over from that New Game Plus. So let's just say you have 25 out of the 50 skills unlocked, then you do New Game Plus. And let's just say you just cheese it a little bit, you kill some fuckers, you do shit a little bit more sloppily, you get an additional 15 skills. Boom, you got 40 out of 50. When you do New Game Plus again, instead of it being 25 out of 50, it is 40 out of 50. So it's less legwork the more New Game Pluses you do. And that's pretty cool. Same thing with Prey. And I guess so I don't waste as much time here. I was just trying to get to the point. I just think back to when I was looking at all the games, or try to think of the games, whether it be through mods or genuine, game interaction, you can buy perks and skill points. The only 2 games that come to mind where you can do that stuff, I mean, technically you could add Prey in there as well because you can buy Nero mods with resources. So yeah, I guess that's a third one. Human Revolution / Mankind Divided does allow you to buy Praxis kits with cash. It's very limited, but it's a good way to accelerate it. And then from there, the only other game that I could think of that allows you to do something like that, and if there are other games that let you do this, please let me know, because again, I don't really know a whole lot of games that give you that function. Assassin's Creed Origins. I know you can buy some sort of scrolls or slabs, and one of the DLC expansions was the Egypt one, I think, and you can use money from your whole adventure to buy a couple. It costs a lot, but it's a way for you to get the last of the skills once you hit max level. And you can start putting those points into the 3 subcategories, more damage with your fists, more damage with your swords, more damage with your bows and arrows, to the point where, it can be a one-shot, one-kill monster. I think there was somebody that had a YouTube video where they were able to kill one of the elephant bosses in one single punch. It was fucking deranged. And my stance on the whole thing is, especially looking at something like Cyberpunk 2077, where genuinely you cannot max out everything. You can only max out maybe at best like 3 out of the 5 skill trees. You basically gotta like lock yourself into that like only like a certain limited play style. And I mean, given it does feel like the like you only have to worry about like maybe upgrading technical aptitude for cyberware, intelligence for net running, and maybe one of the trees to focus on a particular weapon class, and there you go. You have your jack of all trades. You can max out your fucking cyberware and get a bunch of fucking stat boosts from that. Your net running skills will make you on par better than Aiden fucking Pierce from Watch Dogs. Like just seeing like some of the hacking potential like early on, I was like I could see why people fuck with this shit. Like at first I was a little bit confused about, but after seeing like some of the things you could probably pull off of like a huge RAM buffer, like very fast RAM regeneration, I was like, okay, yeah, no, this shit could be pretty fucking gnarly. But that's what you'd have to do, and you can't really focus on anything else. You're kind of like locked into like a play style, so to speak. And if you don't like properly allocate your like points, you might actually get fucked in a way. And that's where I talked about in a previous video where I found 2 mods in particular. One's a little bit cheaper and a little bit less immersive, while the other one felt a lot more immersive, was a little bit more expensive. They were both giving you the ability to buy perk points and attribute points for varying amounts. So first mod that I found lets you spend like $25,000 on either an attribute or a perk point from the main menu. If you don't have enough perk points, you can just substitute for money. Not too bad. Then the other one was the ability to allow you to go to like any of your home PCs, go to a shop, and then boom, you can just buy varying shards. Not just like perk points, attribute points, and varying shards to like level up your skills to like lessen the grind. But in general, it sounds like like the perk points are 30,000, while the attribute points are 100,000. But considering I already have like $50,000 or $60,000 within like 1 hour, hour and a half of gameplay, I can only imagine like as time goes on, I start leveling up more and more and do more side content. I could probably get a substantial boost of money to the point where I can probably just fucking buy the majority of the perks and skills without having to do like that much leveling. But I do appreciate, modders giving us a choice that, if I'm being honest, should have been in the game. Because I mean, I understand you can't have everything in the game, and that's fine. But I do appreciate more when there's a choice, so to speak. You can choose to do it however you want. If you want to just do like the normal leveling progression, grind out the skills all the way, and then only have 3 out of the 5 like attributes maxed out, guess what? You can do that. That's entirely up to you. But I do appreciate some of those games like Prey and Deus Ex Human Revolution that give you the choice to do it. Especially when Cyberpunk doesn't have a new game plus, there's no additional ways to get like more levels or more perk points and shit. None of that crap. You're kind of just stuck, with whatever fucking build you have. But having that option to buy additional perk points or attributes will allow you to fully deck out V a lot more and give you another fucking use for your money besides having to buy cars or weapons. As me, I'm usually just looting shit. I'm not buying it unless I absolutely need it. So it kind of fulfills like my loot goblin sense without making my money being completely worthless. But then it all ties back into Prey and how I'm going to gush about it again. It's like one of the most underrated games ever because I realized that, like after I did like a small stream, not a stream, but like a whole like series on playing Prey, and I was going to do like a whole series on like all the immersive type games. Kind of gotta get back to that someday. Maybe I'll try doing it in 2024. Who knows? But whenever I was doing that, I realized that whenever I found out that I could sequence break the game and do certain things earlier on, but it wasn't necessarily a sequence break, it was rewarding you for exploring. I realized these things weren't tied to the story. I could actually go out there and explore and do this shit early on to break the game, but also make it so much more fun. It made me realize that Prey was like in my top 5 to top 10 games of all time. I shit you not. And it all goes back to that choice. you can choose not to craft any more Nero mods. You can choose to play it how you want. You can do it the shit way, the best way, the economical way, the slow way, the fast way, off the beaten pathway, the linear way. Prey gives you so much in terms of customization and choices and playthroughs that it makes me genuinely enjoy it. And I will say, if I would have known about some of this shit earlier on, I wouldn't have been clamoring for a New Game Plus because I won't lie. Depending on how you play Prey, you could get the majority of the human abilities, like at least half of them, before you even like before you get to the guts. That's all I'm gonna say. Before you get to the guts, and that's a pretty like small chunk of the game right there in terms of the story. If you can get like half the abilities unlocked in terms of human abilities before you even get to the guts, that's a good chunk of upgrades that can carry you throughout the game. And you know, I'm just gonna spoil it. If you don't want to hear anything more about Prey, just click off the video now. It's all I really wanted to gush about. But if you want to hear what I'm talking about here, then here you go. Um, I discovered like once you got to like the engineering or R&D departments, you were able to get the jetpack. I forgot what it was called, sadly, but you're able to get the book the backpack, the thrusters, and you're able to go out into space and do some zero G, you know, fucking boogaloo shit. And what I didn't realize was you can basically go to certain areas relatively early on. I forgot exactly how you're supposed to do it, but for stars, you're able to go to like a certain office belonging to a character and get like a certain quest item to complete their shit literally within the start of the game. And I'm talking like you're not supposed to meet this character for like halfway throughout the game, maybe even 60%. And you're able to literally meet her within like maybe the first 10%, save her, and she's just chilling out in like a certain safe area for the rest of the game. And beyond all that, during that whole area, you're even able to go for like another area in the game where you are able to pick up like a side quest item that whenever you use it, it basically makes a certain resource in the game called PSI Hypos pointless because this quest in particular is supposed to like force like PSI throughout the entire water source on Talos 1, so all those water fountains and shit. You can literally do this quest as soon as you get the zero G gravity like jump pack. And needless to say, being able to like have an unlimited source of PSI points from that early on, it just breaks the game. It does. Because now you're able to use freely the security skill for focus, which means you have essentially an unlimited source of slow-mo, which gives you unlimited stamina, more damage with all your weapons, and you can chain so many more hits on the Typhon. It makes combat that much more easy, and because of that, you're able to break down at least a couple dozen hypos you can get relatively early on during those segments. You can craft more Nero mods, which means depending on like what skills you get early on, you are able to increase your Nero mod, you know, resources. The only thing that you can do to truly break the game, right, is if you are really, really a hoarder. And what I'm talking about is you save up all the junk. You save up all the weapons. You just save up everything. You don't have to do this because it's a relatively minor amount. So long as you have the right skill point investment very early on, just focus on the science tree, I think. You gotta get the skill that allows you to harvest more Typhon organs. Once you do that, you're set. But you could wait until you get to the living quarters and you're able to access that Asian chick's computer. She's like the D&D knockoff nerd of the group, basically. And you do that quest. By the time you get to that part, you should have like all the areas open up. The storage room in the living quarters, up the stairs as soon as you go into it, the field depot, some sort of number in the guts, I believe, where the docking area is, And there's a fourth one somewhere. I think it's in the Arbitrarium. Don't quote me on it. It's been quite a bit since I've done the quest. It's only been a year, but I'm already forgetting these fucking things. I played the game so many times I should know this shit off the top of my head. But you can do all that shit, put in the code, and you can get like the hero's toolkit or whatever, which has the add benefit. It's not the hero's toolkit. It's some sort of random shit. It's a tool set. It's a head chip, whatever. Fuck. It's whatever. It's an upgrade for the helmet, and you get yourself an additional 10% more resources when you recycle shit. You can stack that with whatever skills you have from upgrading the human side of things, and boom, there you go. And if you're crafting like 20 neuromods, you're basically able to craft 22. Given, like I said, you don't really have to do that because, I mean, if you know where to go in terms of exploration and you kill everything and you're using focus the majority of the time to kill everything, fuck, if you're trying to commit to using the wrench and sneak attack criticals, you are able to clean up Typhon so fucking easily. It's not even funny. Especially when you utilize those fucking resources for like upgrading your various weapons. Focus on the disruptor for starters. You do not need the glue gun. You just need like maybe upgrade the range, but that's it. Don't even worry about upgrading the glue gun. Just use it for general exploration until you get like double jump, and you upgrade the Ajax propulsion system. I'm remembering it now. I'm remembering it. But yeah, once you upgrade the jetpack with another tool set, you're fucking good. And yeah, you can just get a good chunk of the skills. And that's what I'm talking about, right? Games like that, give it's a part of the immersive sim, style of game, and that's why I kind of appreciate it. That's why I like the immersive sim stuff because it gives you a whole lot of choices. But I can more appreciate the fact that if there's a game that's giving you that many choices on how to play, it's so much more fun. Like even thinking about all this shit right now of Prey, it makes me want to like challenge myself right now to see just how many skills that I can get fully maxed out by going off the beaten path as soon as I get that like propulsion system before I even go about trying to go for like the science area whenever you do get the goggles, like whatever the hell that helmet is that lets you scan the enemies. It makes me want to like see how many neuromods and Typhon organs and all that shit that I can get and how far I can upgrade you before I get to that point. And I guess it's kind of the funny thing, right? Is that, I'm clamoring for New Game Plus and something like Cyberpunk when if I would have known like some of these tips and tricks for something like Prey, I wouldn't need New Game Plus. And I kind of thought to myself the reason being for that is because with Cyberpunk, like with Prey, at this point, I could actually legitimately go, I do not need New Game Plus all unless I just want to like go through the story and have fun with like a fully upgraded Morgan U. But beyond that, I don't even have to do it because you can get so many like Nero mods relatively early on with like proper exploration and like doing shit out of sequence. You could level him up so quickly and easily. It's not even funny. You wouldn't even need New Game Plus at that point. But you gotta consider it in terms of hours. I'm assuming something like Cyberpunk, if I wanted to 100% that game, do all the gigs, try and find all like the hidden caches for loot or whatever, and do the main story and try and get the max level cap, get all the skills leveled up, all that shit, it would be like 150 hour experience. It would take a considerably long fucking time to the point where it does make me wish, there was a New Game Plus so I wouldn't have to go through that shit again. And it makes me kind of appreciate the fact that there are some mods. There's even like a pseudo New Game Plus, it seems, that does allow you to carry your shit over and do like a brand new story mode, which I might have to check that out if I'm being honest. I mean, I'd much rather, like just start a new game and like try and save money up to get like attribute points and perk points. But when I'm going back over in the Prey, considering Prey is definitely a smaller game, But to me, I see it more like a Yakuza game compared to something like Grand Theft Auto or something like The Witcher 3 and shit. It doesn't have a massive fucking map to get lost in. It's not like Red Dead Redemption 2 where you're like traveling for 15 or 20 minutes on a fucking horse. No, with Yakuza, you can run from one end of the map to the other in less than a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Depends on how much sprint stamina you have. But in something like Red Dead Redemption 2, it could take you like upwards of 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how good your fucking horse is. But what they give up for in terms of quantity, they trade in for quality. Yes, Yakuza uses the same map almost for all the games, but what they do in return is they change the style of the city. They change the NPCs and how they look throughout the decades. They add in new shops, or they change certain shops. They change the items that might be in there. They add in brand new sub stories. All this shit, brand new activities. And as a result, you might see the same map over and over again, but they do at least show how the city evolves over time. And it's not really the same with Talos 1 in terms of, Yakuza using the same map for several games, but what I'm trying to get at here, it's a small area. Like, on par with something like Bioshock or something like System Shock. It's a small area that it's not a huge open world, it's an open area. But instead of like say something like Grand Theft Auto 5 where there's a lot of emptiness near Blaine County, it's like mountains and shit. Like even the city, it's like there's only a couple of like landmarks, but beyond there might be like a couple of like several blocks of just like empty nothingness, and it's like why the hell is this area here? Like no doubt you will never go towards near the docks ever throughout fucking Grand Theft Auto 5 unless it's for like a story mission, like getting the Bugstar or Bugster's fan for the Evangelico heist. You're never going to explore the Paleto Bay unless it's during that fucking heist. Like basically those areas are set pieces for the fucking games. And otherwise, unless you're going off the beaten path, you don't have any reason to go there. But then let's take something like Talos 1 from Prey. It's obviously a lot smaller, but in turn, all those areas, especially in terms of how the game is played, it's a survival-esque immersive sim, everything in the environment can be used to your advantage or to progress the game. Whenever you see a vent, that vent is going to be either something that's going to lead to a room of a bunch of loot, or it's going to be an alternative way to get into said room instead of having to go through a fucking door. You're going to see yourself a bunch of junk and scrap and food that maybe you don't fucking need for now, but you can break that shit down to make more effective shit. Again, it's kind of why I somewhat hate Starfield's junk, because now junk's basically pointless except to get fucking credits, when they literally had Fallout 4 and even Fallout 76 where you can break this junk down for crafting components to make better armor and weapons and legendary fucking items. I'm always hunting down leather, plastics, steel, adhesive, and rubber to make Secret Service armor. To try and get the perfect 5 rolls of AP regen, so no matter what the fuck happens, my AP is basically going to max out in less than 2 seconds. But that's another fucking story altogether. Anything and everything you find in Talos 1 can be used to improve Morgan Yu and his equipment, but can also serve as like a storytelling thing. Like it all just like clicks together. It makes Talos 1 feel believable and alive. But because it's such a smaller experience, you can typically 100% a lot quicker, going back to the whole fucking, length of it. I could probably 100% Prey, as in doing the majority of the quests that, don't have like some sort of like choices and decisions and whatnot. Like do all those quests, or whichever ones that benefit me the most, and upgrade the majority of my gear, the gear that I want to use, like the Disruptor gun, the shotgun, maybe the Artemis pistol, all that shit, and get the best ending in the game probably within 20 hours. And that's 20 hours that From the beginning to the very end, you're going to enjoy every second of it, whether it's, you're playing it for your very first time or you're playing it for a fifth or sixth time. Fucking hell, I'm about to put down Cyberpunk right now and boot up Prey right now as we speak. But then going back to Cyberpunk, if I want to, like, do all the gigs, explore all the fucking map, do the whole fucking story, and all that shit, try and get the max level, try and get the best gear and all that shit, get the best cyberware, it'd probably take me 3-4 times the amount, probably even more now that Phantom Liberty is in there, and I don't have the time or the dedication to do that. Now, of course, when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, I'm probably going to do the exact same thing that I did with Grand Theft Auto 5, and I'm probably going to play it 5 fucking times. Like, what I wanted to do with Cyberpunk and play for the whole year, nuh-uh. I'm probably going to be doing that shit with Grand Theft Auto 6, even if I get a brand new computer and it doesn't run well. I will tune that shit until I get 2K60 and respectable, beautiful graphics, and I'm going to play that shit for the whole year 2025 going into 2026. I guarantee it, both on PS5 and when it comes to PC. But back to Cyberpunk. Because of how long it could probably take to level up your character and get all the fucking goodies that allow you to break certain areas, and my completionist mind want me to just break V and just turn to a cybernetic god, I don't necessarily have the time nor the interest. Now, I'm having fun right now as we speak, going through all of Winston, wherever the fuck the opening area is, and just doing all the gigs, trying to get as many levels as I can to pay off Victor. Spoiler, I already have $60,000. I just don't want to pay him off yet. But, I mean, if there was an option to, like, get all that money early on, even before seeing Thick, I would have fucking had that money before I even met the fucker. Because I want to join the fucking group that pays his dues and pays fucking Victor. Hell yeah. But, yeah, if there was a New Game Plus, I probably would be more hyped to, like, try and level myself up, get everything maxed out as much as I can. And if New Game Plus did add in, like, the ability to get more perk shards or attribute points, even if, there was an increased level cap or there wasn't a store, and, like, they did something stupid as in when you go back through the story again, like, those areas that had the perk points or attribute shards from, like, Dogtown, Phantom Liberty, that shit was just there again. You could get that shit again and just upgrade yourself that way. It'll take a couple extra playthroughs till you truly get everything maxed out. But even if they did something like that, then fine. Fuck it. I would have been A-okay with that. I would have just been like, you know what? It's fine. It's cool. It's nothing that crazy. It is what it is. I will go through a few extra playthroughs to legit get V upgrade. And then, all those extra playthroughs, I'll just have a busted fucking V that can run around like a madman without using any stamina and hack everyone with propagation and just be a silent fucking fuck off ninja. And also, maybe I'm a little bit lost in terms of the whole stamina thing, because I know it's been a few years since I played like 1.0 of Cyberpunk. But I did get to the parts where I do get to fire off my gun here. Was there stamina usage when firing your fucking guns in 1.0? Because I do not remember. Well, I think Cyberpunk is the first game that I have ever played in my fucking life where you pull out a gun and you pull the trigger and fire off a ballistic round and it uses fucking stamina. As soon as I saw that in, like, the training area, like the hacked training area by T-Bug, I was kind of looking at that going, wait a minute, when was this ever conceived? Now, look, I know there's probably going to be, like, a bunch of skills or cyberware that'll help me, reduce the amount of stamina used when firing my gun to the point where it's not even going to be a fucking issue. But I was a little bit, like, took back a little bit. I was like, wait a minute. Why the fuck does firing a gun use stamina? Like, what? But yeah, Yeah. Um. Moral of the story: I love a game that gives you choices, especially choices as to whether or not to play the game normally or to legitimately break the fucking game. And I mean, given it's like, does it fuck up like the balance or the progression? It absolutely does. But I mean, when they give it as a choice to you, it is kind of like it's your own choice. Do you want to play the game legit in normal progression in terms of speed, or do you really just want to fucking break it and just go nuts about it? It's kind of like what the co-host said a while ago, where in terms of like the XP shit, that's the beauty of it. Is like what Bethesda did there isn't even an exploit. You're just literally using the base function with the outpost to get as much iron and aluminum as possible, build abrasive frames, and if you manage to build enough to generate that many resources on a particular plant, then hey, guess what? You can get yourself just as much, like probably like 10, 20, 30 times XP, like 5 to 6 times the level ups you would get within the same amount of time span as completing one quest, giving you only 100 XP. And it's your choice. If you want to do that for a few hours instead of doing the quests, and guess what? You can, because then, you can max out your fucking, your adventurer relatively early on and get yourself some pretty good boosts. Given, unfortunately, I feel compared to previous Bethesda games, these boosts don't seem as, what's the term, impactful, unfortunately. I don't know what the fuck happened, but I mean, RPGs have kind of gone to like a different fucking route as of late in terms of like progression, how they handle certain things. There's not as many mechanics. I guess it's like their opportunity, so to speak, to try and, make shit more simplified. Like, let's just go back as far as Fallout 3 or even New Vegas. The perks were a lot more varied in catering toward a certain playstyle as opposed to 3, where like with the perks, like you just basically had to focus on gun perks because melee was pointless. With New Vegas, they made so there was a lot of extra options to use melee, but they also expanded that in terms of the armor. There was three armor sets, right? Technically four if you count power armor, but there was, well, actually power armor was like considered the heavy class. So there was light armor, medium armor, and heavy. And obviously, the heavier the armor, the more it weighed. But you get way more damage threshold, but you move way fucking slower. Between Oblivion and I think Fallout New Vegas, I've become like a light armor main. I love mobility. I love being fast. I don't want anything holding me back unless it's a real fucking boon. And in regards to New Vegas, there was like varying armors with different statistics. And like obviously the best light armor I think was the Sierra Madre reinforced armor, giving you about 18-20 damage threshold in total. And depending on like what perks you got relatively early on and how you play, you can literally get the equivalent damage threshold of like a medium, like a high tier medium set of armor while moving 10% faster with the travel light perk. When wearing light armor or none, you move 10% faster, which also had the interesting benefit of making you travel faster when fast traveling, which meant time didn't progress as quickly whenever you were moving, which is kind of fucking cool. That shit's like measured in the Gek and shit. And then we go on the Starfield. There's nothing. Like, at least with Fallout 4, there was like varying armor pieces, right? There was left leg, left arm, right arm, chest, head, and with some fucking Creation Club updates, there was backpacks. So there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of armor that, more like 6 rather. I don't even think helmets gave you any benefits, but Maybe they did in Fallout 4 before they kind of like removed it and just made like a headpiece in 76. But you can have like up to 5 or 6 legendary effects, right, in Fallout 4, a single player game, perfectly fine, perfectly balanced. But then you go to fucking Starfield and you literally have helmet, body, and backpack. Not really a whole lot in terms of customization. Not even the Under Armour, like the clothing itself, gets any bonuses except for like, ooh, 5% more health, or ooh, 5% faster oxygen regen. Like, I'm trying my best to love Starfield like I did with Cyberpunk. I fear that Starfield is going to fall in the same fucking vein as fucking Cyberpunk. And if that happens within the next few years, I'm going to be distraught. Hopefully Bethesda doesn't pull the same shit that CD Projekt Red did, and they really like expand on the game with expansions and free updates, and dare I fucking say, a Creation Club updates. Because I mean, Starfield can definitely turn into a very beautiful game so long as they actually like focus on it. I love how that just became a fucking tangent. But again, it's all about choices and fun and how you want to do it. And the fact that, those older RPG games kind of captured that is kind of cool. And nowadays, some RPGs don't have that. Now, Baldur's Gate 3, no doubt, there's probably like a million ways for you to break the fucking game. But I sadly don't have the time for it, unfortunately. I wish I fucking did. But yeah, the whole moral of the story, any game that gives you options to progress your character in both traditional and non-traditional ways, I appreciate them. And some of those games that give you the ability to like buy skill points or attributes to truly max it out with cash, in-game cash, as opposed to, just like XP, I love that shit. And again, the same could be said about Prey, which I had infinitely more fun with than any other game in the past few years of my fucking life. And it kind of makes you wish that some RPG games gave you that type of functionality. It would be fucking amazing. But yeah, we'll have to see where the industry goes within those type of things, because no doubt they would absolutely find a way to monetize that shit. Kind of harkening back to fucking Deus Ex Mankind Divide here, they could try and like fucking piggyback, but find a way to be like, oh yeah, you can get in-game currency with money here, and you can use that money to buy skill points in there. It's not pay to win though, because all we're doing is just like selling you the currency. You use that money however you want, but it can be pay to win. It can. I mean, in a way, that kind of happened with Odyssey. You can buy the resources. You can buy Drachmi. You can buy the individual resources, I think. And as a result, that's like pretty close to pay to win, in my opinion. So long as it doesn't like tread that line, I'd say add that as a fucking option. And if not, like during like the main gameplay, as a new game plus function, I would love nothing more if there was, like, say for God of War, there was a way just to buy like the apples and the fruits, the Urgisil apples, the saps, I think, from like God of War 2018, 5 fucking years ago. God damn, it's been so long. But like to buy that shit from Brock and Sindri for like 10,000 or even 25,000, 100,000 silver. Fuck it, make it as expensive as you want, but you can just you know buy that shit, and you can just get permanent stat buffs Kratos for New Game Pluses. I would fucking love that shit. Who knows, maybe they're going to have something like that in Ragnarok, because, in a couple of days here, Ragnarok's about to get that Valhalla DLC that I can't enjoy, because I don't have a PS5 and the game's not on PC. God fucking damn it! But yeah. It'd be nice if more games had that as an option, at least for like a New Game Plus type thing, where you can just use your excess resources to gain even more power. And again, it's all your choice. Even go as far as like maybe have a toggleable option, like maybe a character sheet where you can choose to turn that power off, or make it even more immersive, like slap on some sort of bangle that disables that bot power or whatever, or limit yourself in a way. There you fucking go. Give you options to grow yourself, but also stunt yourself. That would be fucking amazing. That would be the best type of choices ever in a video game. But yeah, 45 fucking minutes of me rambling about buying skill points and perks in a game and how it should be normalized. Holy fucking shit. I kind of miss these type of fucking rambles. It's this type of shit that, like, I know I spent a lot of time just doing it, but it does feel a little bit cathartic in a way. Just being able to pour it out, and if maybe some soul hears about it, it brings them some sort of, like, enjoyment or discussion, it'd be fucking nice. It makes it all worthwhile. But, that's all I'm going to say for now. Like, dislike that whole YouTube jargon. Let me know in the comments, how you feel about that shit. Should, like, more games incorporate that as, like, a New Game Plus thing or end of game type of thing? Should be available from the very fucking start to give you, like, a different way to spend your money? Because, again, I never really wanted to spend my money in some RPGs, like, fucking Fallout 3 and stuff. I never wanted to spend my money on stim packs or loot, because it's like I always found out in the world. So I'd have, like, a lot of fucking caps saved up. But if theoretically speaking here, there was, like, some sort of shop in, the Capital Wasteland I can go to where you could spend the money to get these upgrades. I mean, it was practically in there in Oblivion, was it? Where you can find different trainers and you can pay them to, like, raise your fucking skill up. Like, give me something like that where we can find somebody that can, like, teach us this shit instead of, like, having to learn the perk or to get the fucking skill ups from leveling up. We can just spend, like, a huge chunk of caps. I'm not talking like, like 100 caps for a gun here and there. Like, no, I'm talking like 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 caps, like something really expensive, but it gives you something way more valuable and impactful instead of, a gun. It gives you a literal fucking perk, or it gives you some fucking skill points that you can spend freely on a particular skill or whatever. That shit to me would be a hell of a lot more fucking useful than just having, like, a pile of cash of nothingness. Transform those ill-gotten gains, whether it be, from theft or fucking murder, to something more valuable. Another game that I could think of, which was rather through a mod, but it was available in online, was Red Dead Redemption. I'm sorry I keep talking. This will be the last thing. I promise! But Red Dead Redemption 2 with Red Dead Online had those ability cards, those tarot cards, and you can, like, put money into upgrading the cards to get, like, some various boosts. And given, because it was online, it's like they were rather, like, they weren't that beneficial compared to the single-player portion, but in the case of single-player, some brilliant modder was able to fucking, add them in through, like, an ASI thing or whatever. I'm not so sure. But they basically add in the ability cards in the single player. And instead of, like, holding on, like, thousands and thousands of dollars through gold and looted goods and killing O'Driscolls and all that shit, you can put that money into upgrading these ability cards to make Arthur Morgan a little bit more durable from gunfights, to make him run a little bit longer, to make his Deadeye last a little bit longer, shit like that. And, I kind of like it. I wish that shit was properly implemented into the base game, because it would make your money that much more worthwhile. Just like Grand Theft Auto 5, and with online not being able to add in the multiplayer weapons. But I already beat that to a dead fucking horse. Again, I hope GTA 6 gives you a lot more things to buy with money that will improve your character. But yeah, that's all for now. Rambo Manager clocking out. See ya.